Hello, and welcome back to our Progeox Tip of the Month. In this session, we will be going over some commands from our Geostatistics module, as well as some configurations for it. As we can see, we have our diamond drill holes loaded, as well as our samples. But before we jump into our commands, we will configure some of the parameters for our statistics according to our needs, here in the options command. Here, Progeox asks us what are the objects it will be taking the data from. In this case, we will be checking the samples box since we have our samples already loaded. For our annotation skill, we will be having 2, and our decimal report will be 2 also. Remember to check in the use units box. Over here, we have our different items for our statistics annotations table. And we will be adding mean, coefficient variation, the minimum, the maximum, the median, and our standard deviation. Once we're ready, we click OK. So now that we have configured our parameters, we click on the statistics command and we select our objects. Here we have the options for silver or gold, but in this case we're going to be selecting both. Here, Progeox created the table with the data configured from the options command. We have our grades for silver and gold, our mean, our coefficient variation, our minimum, our maximum, our median, and our standard deviation. Now we are going to go into our distribution command, and we are going to click on our samples. Here we are going to have our graph, but first we need to configure it. We are going to select gold, and the title is going to be distribution. In our x-axis, we're going to have grades, and our y-axis, we're going to have samples. The type of distribution we're going to use is we have histogram bars, cumulative frequency curve, and the option to use both. But in this case, we're just going to use histogram bars. And remember to check the Draw Graph to AutoCAD option so we can add the graph to our AutoCAD drawing. So now once we're ready, we just click on Graph, and we select where we want to insert our graph. Now, Progeox created our graph where we can see our samples and our grades and how the majority of our samples are distributed in the grades from 0 to 0.5. Almost 80% of our samples. Here we can see from 0.5 to 1 being almost 10% of our samples, and from 1 to 1.5 being a little bit more and close to 10% of our samples also. And from there on, from 1.5 all the way to 3, we have the rest of the samples that complete the 100% of our samples. So now, once we're ready, we just click OK. And we say where we want to locate our chart. So now we have what is our bar chart, which we have the grades and the samples, as well as our data sheet. These commands are very easy to use and provided valuable information from our samples. This concludes our Progeox Tip of the Month. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comments section and we'll gladly answer you. Thank you for watching.